Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Tez back at you with another Digimon episode breakdown, discussion, review, whatever you would like to call it. We're on to episode 34, man, entitled Hikari and Tailmon. Guys, just a forewarning, this episode isn't as, you know, normal than the ones I previously done. I'm trying to give a little more details and a little more information and all that stuff about some of the mons you may see, just to drive home how they're really making everything inclusive to these episodes. So without further ado, as always, please make sure you like the video, subscribe, share it, comment down below. Your boy, I'm always looking forward to reading what you guys have to say, even if it's just one person saying something. That one person, I appreciate you so much, as so are the others or anyone else. So getting into this episode, we can see Tailmon speaking the Commandomon language, which the crew kind of evaluated and was like, well, mostly Patamon. He was like, oh, she can actually speak that language too, as they rolled through a desert that seemed to be scattered with the remains of Breakdramon. If you don't know who or what Breakdramon is, please look it up. It's a mega level Digimon that's a virus type. It can digivolve further into Exomon, but that's neither here nor there. And as the crew begins to head deep into the depths, because this is basically where we're headed, we're going into the sea. Commandomon basically dove them straight into the sea as Tailmon begins to explain everything about how they need to head into the direction of Faga in regards to what Faga actually is, being the resting place of Millenniumon's largest shard, which we saw it actually end up back in Faga where all the Vaidmon are and everything else. And, you know, again, just letting us know that the wickedness and everything in this world, this is all being described by Tailmon. Everything that's happened in the world currently, and also in the region of Faga, and the evolutions produced by the evils of Millenniumon are all for him to gain his body back, to attain a new body in this current world. And Tailmon is very keen on her duties as a holy Digimon to defeat, vanquish the darkness. And you know, you see Patamon in the background kind of like, yeah, you know what this is, big dog. We the holy Digimon, we got to do this. So he agrees in kind. And then Tailmon says she'll never put Hikari in danger again, as she whimsically looks at her, kind of just with this eye, like, man, you know, she never wants to have what happened last time happen. And at some point we see the Commandomon crash into what looks like the city of Atlantis, and then our group encounter a series of Manbomon. Now, Manbomon is also a mutant Digimon, which is a armored Digivolution of Patamon with the Digi-Egg of Light. See, what I tell you, we're gonna be dropping bombs. We're gonna be dropping little bits of knowledge for you, just so you can understand how important these things are. And as Tailmon tries to negotiate that they mean no harm, they basically try to box her out. Like, they try to hit her with some of the most impractical fists, and it's mostly just the one Manbomon, and then she basically hit my man with the Team Rocket, I'm blasting off again type of situation, because then it rockets him through the ceiling, which lets in a whole nother series of Digimon at some point. But this is after the fact that we get the horn sound by Sihomon, which also is another Digivolution of a Digimon with the Digi-Egg of Light. But in case, this one's for Armadillomon, if you did not also know that. So I'm trying to let y'all know how incredibly locked in they are with these bits of knowledge that they want to present to us. Like, this is all about the Digidestin of Light, so they're adding in more light-based Digimon. Now, armored Digivolutions are cool. We didn't expect this. I didn't expect to see any of these mons ever myself also. But you know, so while we see the Manbomon trying to rush back up to the hole that had been created, that's when we see the Mantarimon who show up, who again is another Digivolution of Patamon, but this time not the Digi-Egg of Light, but the Digi-Egg of Reliability. So I don't know how much reliability ties into this, but I definitely know the Digi-Eggs of Light play a big part. But then at the same time, that's when we see Daipenmon, and for those of you who also don't know who that is, he's basically the embodiment of what happens when a human spirit and the two spirits of ice merge. That will be Kumamon and Korikakumon, and boom, that's what you get. Then that's a Digimon Frontier reference. So basically, Daipenmon, or if you know anything from Digimon Frontier, the original vestige Digimon who saved the ancient digital world that represented the 10 elements, there were older Digimon who then took on newer forms, but their powers still remain the same. And Tailmon is a byproduct of basically those powers being rehashed and re-put back out into the digital world in this new server, new world, so on and so forth, kind of like a reincarnation cycle. But that's a whole nother story. I didn't want to dive too deep into the Tailmon lore. It's not much lore. It's just it's a really OP Digimon, but they don't play it off like it's one, because apparently it is really OP from the way they describe it and its back history and everything like that. So Tailmon goes in on the assault basically with her Neko Punch, which I was wondering what they were going to call Lightning Paw this time around, because I didn't do more research. I'm just going off of what I see in the episode. So she hits him with these, Neko Punches, and the Mambomon notice that she has a holy tail ring. They're like, oh, she must be somebody really important. But then that's when we get this image of a giant marine Angemon who welcomes the crew and apologizes for attacking them as though they were a threat. Also, guys, apologies if I get tongue-tied. Just excuse it. It happens. I'm trying to make sure I don't get tongue-tied, so please excuse it. So then they get brought to the main palace shortly after they explain everything to her and letting them know that she needs to get the Faga. And I really hate saying that word. I just don't like saying it. So when we see this small feast begin for the rest of the crew and everyone's chowing down, but then, they're looking for Hikari, and Hikari is basically tending to the Commandomon that they were riding on, and she kind of just was worried about it because it seemed tired. And then that's where Marine Angemon shows up, and Tailmon's already there, but Marine Angemon kind of uses her own tail ring to give it some energy, so she just lets her know that it'll be better in the morning when everything's all well and done. But then we get locked in again with our boy Izzy updating us on the space situation, which again, I don't mind knowing much about these things because I don't really think much of it. We know that there's nothing good happening in the human world. We still know the impending doom is going to happen. But as it stands, some of these satellites have not been able to regain their orbital balance. So even if they do fix it, it's still going to be off. Like, they're not going to shift back into place where they need to be. So it's just time is of the essence as always. So while Ty asks about the intruders, earlier Marine Angemon lets them know that this has much more to do with the Mons currently living in the city. As they're all not originally from the sea, they're Mons who escaped the Great Holy War and fled down below, and because of that they digivolved to fit their environment. But in kind of doing that, they've incurred the wrath of other, naturally born sea Digimon. So it's always this thing that's happening. So I guess those Manta Raymon are not they are of the Seamon who don't really, like them. But when I think about Manta Raymon, like it's an armored digivolution of another mon that doesn't even exist in the water. So it's just kind of like, aren't you calling the pot and the kettle calling each other black type of situation? I'm like, come on, dog, it can't be like this. So with that information being explained to us, we see the group end up going to sleep for the rest of the night, and then Tailmon is still, she's reluctant to do a lot of things, because I think the way that they're trying to paint it is that Tailmon really wants to drive home that she's about getting the job done and protecting Hikari, like making sure that they can defeat Millenniumon at any cost, but she's doing it by herself, which is not a good thing. And Hikari grabs her while she's sleeping, and she kind of fights it, but eventually she caves in and gives in. And then the next day, that's when we get our actual big bad guy who shows up in the episode. And I'm sorry if I butchered the name, because I was still trying to pronounce it as I watched the episode. I'm like, dog, this is a difficult name. Anomalocorimon. I'm just gonna call it Anomon for short, because that is too much. So the Mambomon get into action and begin to duke it out with the Manta Raymon, and that's when we get Greymon, Bergermon, and Pegasmon to join the fight. But while that's going on, Tailmon's gonna hop in too, but Hikari wants to join in also. But Tailmon is hellbent, like I said, on not putting Hikari in any more danger. So she basically tells her to stay put, and Hikari is kind of disappointed, like that's not how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be fighting as one. But Tailmon goes in with the Nico Minx, and she's, handing out fades left and right, making light work of the Manta Raymon, and everyone else is. And then Anomon shows up and actually gets his claws in and begins to shock Marine Angemon and Tailmon also at the same time. And then Tailmon tries her hardest to get up there and actually go do some damage to it, but is very unsuccessful. extremely unsuccessful in doing anything. So as she's falling back down below from being shocked by Anomon, Hikari's yelling out her name, and eventually she gets caught by a Mamblemon on the way down, which was like, all right, that's a smooth catch. My man, he was right there on time, ain't got good, all that good stuff, you know what I'm saying? But it's at this point she rushes back in, and as she makes her way to the top, Metal Greymon hits the scene and launches a Giga Destroyer, to then having Tai, take Hikari up, because she was like, take me too. And, as she's dismounting Metal Greymon, she starts to let Tailmon know, like, this isn't how it's supposed to be, as she's recalling these incidences of when she's younger, that like they've always been calling to one another, like you've always been calling me. And she's like, I've known this even at a young age. And that's when Tailmon also lets her know she has been doing that all along, well before when she was sitting in the dark. Like, they're both connected by fate and destiny, which is why Hikari had come to the digital world. And then, like, as they're slowly making their way towards one another, and just this dramatic kind of touching hands type of thing, when they actually touch, the Digivice for her appears, which empowers Tailmon and allows her to actually hit the Anomon with a Nico punch that actually cracked it. And to the rest of the body and the crew, they all join in and let his ass have it. And it was more so that's how they defeated the enemy. But we also got to see our crew truly become united. Like, they're finally here. I thought Hikari had her Digivice at first, but apparently she didn't. So that's a thing. But I don't know why I thought she had it already. I was like, I thought it just generated, but it hadn't. So once they defeated the big baddie, they bid the rest of the crew on the city farewell and made it back to the sea current. And that was the end of our episode. So guys, it wasn't the most amazing episode. It was nice. A lot of the animations were kind of boo-boo, like that Bergermon. That boo-boo Bergermon, boy. But, it's still enjoyable. But this is what has got me hyped. Boy, these tongue ties are killing me. Next episode, Angelomon showing up. And now, I don't know about y'all, but that's the one. I don't know how they're going to do this, but that's the one. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how the whole ordeal turns about with this. Because if they get closer to Faga and it's got something to do with the darkness encroaching on Tailmon or Hikari, how is that going to turn about? But I also want to put this feeler out there. I'm hoping somehow we get Angemon line back. We know Seraphimon going to show up, but like, how is it going to happen? I really want to see my boy return to us, and return to us the right way. But guys, if you like the video, like I said earlier, like it, share it, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know something that I may have missed if I didn't provide accurate information, or you just enjoy the video and you want to show me that you liked it. I appreciate it so much. And like always, y'all be good, y'all be blessed, wash your ass, wash your hands and all that, stay clean. Y'all be good. Peace.